Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a psychological thriller film, Triangle. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. Jess is a single mother to Tommy, an autistic boy. She loves him, but she often can't control her temper, as Tommy behaves different from other kids. One day, seeing spilled paint on the floor, Jess yells at Tommy and slaps him in the face. But shortly after, she regrets abusing her son. Tears in her eyes, she holds Tommy and tells him that he just had a bad dream and that when he's haunted by the bad dream again, he should close his eyes and think of something nice. Later, she hears a doorbell, but no one is there. No time to wonder about it. She is in a hurry, taking her son to go sailing with her friends as scheduled. Tommy cries, reluctant to go out. Jess picks him up by force and hops into her car and heads to the harbor. When Jess arrives at the harbor, her friends are already on board. Seeing Jess worn out and alone, Greg feels a little bit confused and asks where her son Tommy is. Jess hesitates for a moment before saying he's at school, but it is apparently Saturday that day. Still confused though, Greg holds back his questions. While they sail, Jess sleeps for a long time in the cabin. When she wakes up and walks to the deck, Greg teaches her how to steer a yacht. Jess looks much better now, so the confused Greg asks what was going on with her, as she was never like this before. Jess answers in uncertainty that maybe she was upset not being with her son. Greg says she is a good mom, but she can't be with her son all along. The wind stops, and the puff sail deflates. Scared of the coming storm, Greg calls the rescue center for help via the wireless. He receives no reply, but a weak signal of a woman's panicked voice. She cries for help and mumbles that they are all dead. Then Greg loses the signal. Hit by the storm, the yacht is upturned. The friends float blindly on the wreckage, waiting for rescue. But one woman is missing, and only 5 of the 6 of them remain. Seeing Jess in a daze, Greg asks whether her son is at school. Jess nods her head unsurely. Greg consoles her that when they get back home, they will take good care of her son, and he will be fine. Jess says nothing, seemingly getting lost. Moments later, from out of nowhere approaches a huge cruise ship. They glimpse a figure on the deck, and they wave their arms and cry for help. When they embark on the ship, the mysterious figure they saw is gone. They shout loudly, but nobody responds. Jess looks around and feels familiar, as if she had been on this ship before. Greg pays not much attention to her suspicion, telling her all cruise ships are alike. The ship is named after Aeolus, god of wind in Greek mythology. Sisyphus, the son of Aeolus, broke a promise he made to death. As a result, his punishment was to roll an immense boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back down, and to repeat this fatal loop forever. Suddenly the friends hear a bunch of keys clang to the floor. Jess is astonished to find they are hers, with a keyring of her son's photo, but no one knows how the keys got there. Later, they walk into the dining room. The fruits are fresh, yet no one is there. When Jess turns around, she sees someone running away. Victor runs after this unknown someone. Jess and Greg follow the noise to a room with "Go to Theater" written on the mirror in blood. While Greg thinks it just the trick of the crew, Jess believes there must be danger in the ship. So she turns around, trying to get off. Greg anxiously stops her and asks her not to derange. Jess tells him not to judge her. All that is in her mind right now is to pick her son back home from school. Then she leaves in anger. Jess goes around and finds herself in the dining room again. When Victor stumbles in all bloodied, Jess hurries at him, trying to offer help. But Victor grabs her neck to suffocate her. During the fight, Jess locates a wound on the backside of Victor's head and sinks her hand into it, killing him. Jess hears another scream, and she runs to the theater, only to find Greg lying on the floor, shot dead. Sally cries and blames Jess for Greg's death, declaring it was Jess who shot him. At that time, they hear another gunfire. There is a masked figure shooting at them from upstairs. 2 more friends are shot dead, but Jess is spared. She runs away from the theater and comes to the deck. The masked figure flattens her from the back and turns the gun on her. Jess begs in terror for not shooting her, saying she has a son to take care of. But the masked figure shoots at her. Fortunately, Jess grabs the gun barrel, and the shot misses her. She rises from the floor and escapes. The masked figure runs after her and shoots at her until the bullets are used up, but Jess is not killed. The masked figure then throws the gun onto Jess. Jess runs to a corridor, picks up a fire axe from the wall. The two have fierce fighting on the deck. Jess overpowers the masked figure and pushes her against the yacht edge. Jesse asks who the fuck he is, but the masked figure only mumbles, urging Jess to kill them all, and that's the only way for her to get home. Furious, Jess doesn't understand what she is saying. She wields the axe to hack her, and the masked figure falls into the sea. Before Jess can take a break, she hears cries again, and she sees a group of people floating on an upturned yacht, waving arms toward her and crying for help. She is astonished to find out they are her friends. It is even weirder when she sees herself among them. So she recoils in horror. When the friends embark on the ship, Jess sneaks up behind them. All that they say and do are exactly the same as what happened just then. That bunch of keys is actually Jess's. She drops them down to the floor by accident while trying to spy on the recent onboard group. And that someone running away seen by the second onboard Jess is also her. Victor, who runs after that unknown someone, catches up with Jess. Jess tries to explain to him what has just happened, but Victor doesn't understand and thinks she is crazy. Agitated, Jess pushes Victor against the wall, and a long hook pierces the backside of his head. That is why Vitor is all bloodied, with a wound on the backside of his head. Then, the poor Vitor stumbles back to the dining room, and encounters the second onboard Jess. Not knowing what actually happened, he grabs her neck in a rage. And then the second onboard Jess sinks her hand into his wound on the backside of his head. Vitor does not know he has met two different Jess. One is the first onboard Jess, who knows everything. The other is the second onboard Jess, who knows nothing. After that, the loop goes round and round again. Later, the previous onboard Jess reminds the later onboard Jess with a note, telling the latter to kill all the onboard group, and it's the only way to get home and see her son. So Jess makes up her mind. She picks up the gun and puts on a mask, revealing that mysterious masked figure on the boat is actually Jess herself, who just takes the same role from her previous self. The never-ending cycle goes round and round, with more and more lives of the same persons gone. At last, masked Jess, who falls into the sea, gets washed onto the shore and heads back home hastily. From outside, Jess sees her son Tommy, and her heart is filled with affection. Then to her shock, she hears her mourning self inside the house, urges Tommy to go out with her to sail, yells at him in a bad temper, and slaps him in the face. Seeing that, Jess is furious. She rings the bell, then sneaks up behind, and bludgeons her with a hammer. Then in tears, she holds the poor Tommy in her arms, and tells him that he just had a really bad dream, and that when he's haunted by bad dreams again, he should close his eyes, and think of something nice. Soon after that, Jess drives to the harbor with his son. On the way, she consoles him that she will never abuse him anymore, even when he has done wrong. But the son still remains silent. Feeling guilty and helpless, she tells Tommy that violent woman who abused him was not his real mom, and that monster will never come again. On the way, Seagull hits the windshield suddenly. Seeing blood splashing, Tommy is frightened and begins to cry. While Jess turns around to comfort him, a truck speeds by. Then her car is knocked off the ground and tumbles over, causing Tommy to die unfortunately, and Jess to be knocked down lifeless. Seconds later, however, Jess stands up uninjured when a taxi driver approaches her. He tells Jess the boy is dead, and no one can prevent death from taking him away. Jess accepts his offer for a ride, and they drive to the harbor. Upon arrival, the driver asks her if it is a round trip. She promises him she would come back, so the driver waits for her return with the meter on. Jess gets off the taxi, boards the ship to join her friends. Later, she shows up before Greg, worn out, alone, and in a daze, the same as she is in the very beginning, hinting that she enters another loop of the death journey, where just like the son of Elis, who suffered endless punishments due to his breaking promise made to death, Jess will probably suffer the same, because she chooses to sail out with her friends, rather than return as promised, resulting in her breaking the promise to the driver, actually the death sent there, to escort her to hell. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Peace out.